Confessions 10. I found him in Rome when I arrived. He became very closely attached to me and came with me to Milan so that we need not part, and also because he wanted to put his legal studies into practice, though this was more his parents' wish than his own. He had already acted 3 times as assessor, with an integrity that was a source of wonder to his colleagues, though to him it was astonishing that anyone should prefer wealth before honesty. But it was not only by inducements of bribery that his character was put to the test. He was also subjected to intimidation. When he was in Rome acting as assessor to the controller of Italian provincial funds, there was a very influential senator who held large numbers of people in his power, either because he had granted them favors or because they had reason to fear him. In his usual domineering way, he attempted to obtain some privilege to which he had no right in law. Alypius refused to grant it. A bribe was offered and he contemptuously turned it down. Threats followed and he rebuffed them. Everyone was amazed by his extraordinary self-possession, for although this formidable man had earned widespread notoriety for his innumerable methods of patronizing or injuring others, Alypius neither desired him as a friend nor feared him as an enemy. Even the judge for whom Alypius was acting as assessor agreed that the privilege should not be granted, though he would not openly refuse it. Declaring that he could do nothing in face of Alypius's attitude, he left the case in his hands. And in fact, if he had acted himself, Alypius would have left the court. There was only one temptation to which he nearly yielded through his love of literature, and this was to have books copied for him at the special rates available to government officers. But he conscientiously chose the better course and decided that honest principles which forbade the deal were more precious than the opportunity which made it possible. This is a small matter, but he who is trustworthy over a little sum is trustworthy over a greater. The words of Christ, the voice of your truth, can never be unmeaning, and it was he who said, "If you then could not be trusted to use the base riches you had, who will put the true riches in your keeping? Who will give you property of your own, if you could not be trusted with what was only lent to you?" These were the qualities I knew in Alypius, who was my close friend and like myself was perplexed to know what course of life we ought to follow. Nebridius was also with us. He had left his own town near Carthage and Carthage itself, where he had spent much of his time. He had given up his house and his family's rich estate in the country and had left his mother, who refused to come with him. He had come to Milan for no other purpose than to live with me, so that we might be together in our fervent search for truth and wisdom. His distress was not less than mine, and like me, he wavered between one course and another, desperately seeking the way of happiness and prying closely into the problems which troubled us most. We were like 3 hungry mouths, able only to gasp out our needs to one another, while our eyes were on you, waiting for you to grant us in due time our nourishment. And in all the bitter disappointments which by your mercy thwarted our undertakings in this world, we tried to see the reason for our sufferings. But darkness overshadowed us, and we turned away asking, "How long is this to be?" Again and again we asked ourselves this question, but we did not relinquish our worldly aims, because we could not see the light of any truth that we might grasp in place of them.